Good morning, everyone. Happy Thursday. Hope everyone's enjoying this rainy weather we've had for this whole week. Welcome to the DD Sportscast. How are you doing, David?
I'm doing just fine, trying to stay warm. It's as it's getting a little bit colder outside. How about yourself?
I'm hanging in there. We just moved into the new place, getting everything situated. This rain is really making the weather unbearable, though. I see you got your nice fireplace in the background.
Yeah, keep me warm.
But all right, we got the chit chat going, a little bit of banter. Now, how about we talk about this World Series? Because I've been dying to talk about this decision.
Yeah, you know, um, Dodgers pretty well. The summary of it is Dodgers prove that ultimately in the end, 9 times out of 10, money's gonna win. Um, they paid Mookie the big contract. They didn't necessarily pay him to be an everyday producer, but they paid him specifically for these moments, and he cashed in on that. And really, I mean, I totally understand why the Dodgers spent all that money on him. Um, Unfortunately for the Rays, they came up a little bit short. I'll let you get to the more of their side of it, but overall, it was a really good series for the Dodgers. They really kind of all pulled it together. Something they couldn't do in the past was finish games, and they were very dominant in the late innings. Excluding the whole flubbed in center field ball that ultimately cost them one game, but ultimately their bullpen was really good. The biggest move I think they made this season, kind of towards the end of last season to this season, is moving Urias to the bullpen. Um, he was absolutely outstanding in this series and all throughout the playoffs. And obviously, it's nice to have that arm in the pen with how much action he has, and as well as the speed. That he produces. But overall, Dodgers are going to be a pretty solid team for a few years. Especially obviously Mookie Betts isn't going anywhere anytime soon. Obviously, when they have to start paying people, they're going to lose a little bit of their talent. Um, and I would say overall, it helped. The fact that they won definitely helped Clayton Kershaw's legacy just a bit. He still will be known as the guy who really could never come up clutch, but he came up when he needed to in Game 5, got his team the victory, and that's all that can really be said.
Clayton Kershaw also had the help from a foreign substance, which we will never know what it was from here on out.
Yes, exactly. I made the joke on my Facebook because I don't know what is on the Dodgers pitching staff hats, but they all have a brown stain in the middle of their hat. And don't get me wrong, like it could literally just, I don't even know what it could be, but it's not sweat because I played baseball for many years and was a pitcher. And when I started to sweat, I'd have a white sweat ring around my hat. I played for a team that had blue hats, so I know exactly what it should look like, and that is darker than what their hat is. And I'm not calling him a cheater or anything, but something's got to be on that hat because. Well, I tell you what, they were having some movement the last few games of the series. But anyway, moral of the story: it was a really good series. I'm glad that it went at least 6 games. Wish it would have went 7. I think that game 7 would have been electric, but ultimately, one decision swayed this game, and I'll just let you take it from there.
All right, guys. So my third imposter award goes to Kevin Cash of the Tampa Bay Rays. This is because you don't pull out a starting pitcher who has 72 pitches and is throwing an absolute gem of a game 6. What in the world are you thinking? I mean, yes, I get it. Maybe you want to rest him and to potentially pitch in game 7, but if he gets his job done in game 6, you don't need him in game 7 unless you are absolutely in dire need. This is the most boneheaded move I had seen out of the playoffs this whole season. I don't understand what he was thinking. He had one hit through 5, gives up a second hit, and you decide to pull him. I mean, I it's idiotic if you ask me. You should have let him go until he was in worse situations because this was his game to lose, and he had been pitching so well up to this point. You have to trust your starters. If you can't trust your starters, you shouldn't be in the game.
Yeah, and I think that this kind of had to do with the way the series ended up kind of had to do with on from the manager's standpoint, experience, because uh in the past, something that has really been the Achilles heel of this Dodgers team is that Dave Roberts usually overmanages the Dodgers and ultimately either pulls somebody too soon, leaves somebody in too long, makes it interesting, defensive decision, in the past has really cost him games. And I think that, him going up against better managing has ultimately made him a better manager and a better gamesman. And I think that that kind of showed in this series where he was going up against a relatively new manager, obviously, like especially to the playoffs for that matter. And I think that it showed whenever it came down to it. Same thing happened with Madden whenever the Cubs went in 2016. They pulled Kyle Hendricks way too early, went to Aroldis Chapman. It was a big deal because I don't, or they, excuse me, they went to John Lester, and it was a
Yeah, but you
stupid
guys ended up
decision.
winning that series anyway, so it doesn't
I know, but that's game
point.
7. You take out an ace. This is literally this very similar situation. Obviously, that's in the game, like the game to win it, and they had to win. He's thinking of ahead, and I understand why he did it, but it's a terrible reason why he did it.
And also, Willie Adames needs to be benched. I don't even know what he was brought up for. All I saw was strikeout after strikeout after strikeout. I think looking back at the stats, he had a total of like 65 strikeouts in the postseason. I mean, you can't let someone like that play in a World Series, especially when he has a 143 average. I mean, that is absolutely. I mean, that whole offense looked lackluster. Brandon Lau had a 160 average. Um, Manny Margot had a 381. Jason Wendell 105. Mike Zunino 118. Willie Adames 143 and Austin Meadows 188. How do you win a World Series with batting averages that low?
I Do you think that they would possibly be in the sweepstakes to try to get somebody to bolster that middle of the infield, specifically like with a bat, possibly?
I think Colton Wong is a good fit for this Tampa Bay organization. And I think that might be where he ends up. Colton Wong is probably not going to be a St. Louis Cardinal anymore, and I hate to say it. Just like I hate to think that Yachty is not coming back to wear a Redbirds uniform.
So, do you think so? Somebody who kind of stuck out, if you kind of look at the 2021 MLB free agents,
Okay.
somebody that kind of stuck out to me. uh, you're in a win now mode, so you don't necessarily need a future pick. But if you want somebody who is going to give you production at the plate, there is, say a DD Gregorius, who's kind of, he's established himself as a hitter. Or you could even reach for a younger guy who hasn't really given the proper opportunity to really show himself, like Jose Peraza from the Red Sox. There's just a couple names. I mean, you have a lot of defensive guys who are available, but obviously you already have defense with Adames. There's Marcus Simeon, Alderton Simmons, Freddie Galvis, Jose
I,
Iglesias. I mean, all these are kind of older guys that you can get for maybe 1-2 years just to try to win now mode. Give them a base deal.
I mean, honestly, you could even go for a Matt Joyce type of player. One, he brings veteranship, veteran status to the team. He can help oversee it, but he's also a good. And honestly, the person I'm looking at the most is DJ LeMahieu. He put on a clinic for the New York Yankees this year, and I think he would be a great um, addition to this race team. One to help bolster the defense because that defense looked pretty shaky throughout the playoffs. But uh, it's a little early to be calling out all of these situations. But one I would also like to see is I would like to see Jake Odorizzi come back to St. Louis from Minnesota.
I mean, it's going to be very interesting all season. There's quite a few you know, I'd say some of the more notable, free agents. Obviously the hometown boys. Um, you got a few other ones that are going to be coming up here soon. You have a lot of pitchers that are going to be hitting the market. Um, it's gonna be pretty crazy.
I'm
Um,
anxious to see where Kevin Pillar goes. That man can run and play some center field. I think he would fit in anywhere who's looking for a really good center field. Yeah, he lacks a little bit in the offensive category, but if you're running a DH, you can kind of pick up that slack slightly. So maybe he ends up in the AL.
yeah, there's a lot of pitchers. I know the big thing. A lot of people are interested to see where Trevor Bauer does end up. Ultimately, or if he does end up anywhere. So that will be interesting to watch. I know he's the big name starting pitcher that's going to be
I
floated
mean,
around
there's a
places.
lot of names on this list. I mean, George Springer, Josh Reddick, Jackie Bradley Jr., Bauer, as you mentioned, Francisco Cervelli, Jonas Cespedes, Marcus Stroman, DJ LeMayu, Mike Fears, Jake Arrieta, you know, Molina, Wainwright, Colton Wong, D. Gordon, Corey
Yeah, and
Kluber.
there's a
Like,
lot of established guys who have proven that on the big stage that they can perform. And if for these teams who are in win now mode, there's a lot of options out there for you to take a stab at bolstering your roster. So it'll be interesting to see how exactly it's going to work out. But
I do want to make one final. I know we got really off topic of the World Series, but
oh
I want to
no,
make
I mean, this
one
is very
final.
important.
Well, I want to make one
Mhm.
final comment about this. I do think Tampa Bay made the right step this year in winning the AL East title over a very competitive Yankees team and semi Blue Jays and then Red Sox. However, they need to take the next step. Otherwise, they're going to be stuck where they're at. Because if this was a full season, maybe they would have won, maybe they wouldn't have. But from having this shortened season, I think they took the right step and figured out what their identity was, how they want to play, and now maybe it's time to, like you said, get an extra bat for the middle of the order, get a solid defenseman for the infield, maybe go after a a bigger tier catcher. Their pitching isn't really lacking. Yes, it might be nice for them to finally get a fourth starter because they were really only running with three good starters and then kind of switching out their 4 and 5. But I think their bullpen was okay. They did kind of get hit a little bit, but I think as for an overall season, when Tampa Bay looks back on this season, they will say, okay, we took the first step. Now, how can we improve it? And I think we will see them very active in this offseason. Honestly, I think a lot of teams are going to pass on this free agency due to the ramifications of COVID and taking a lot of money out of the team's pocket to put into free agency. So we're going to see a lot of teams just kind of pass this year and maybe try to pick someone up later. But I think Tampa Bay needs to go all in this year if they're going to try to repeat to go back to the World Series.
Absolutely. I think ultimately it's going to come down to it's a high turnover. Like you said, there's a really long list of free agents this year, a lot of surprising names that I haven't heard be a free agent and for so long. So it's kind of a changing of the guard per se these next few years. Be interesting to see all the newcomers. I've had to start studying up on some of the guys because um, some of the staples in the game are, hitting their 30s, 30 plus. So I look forward to this off season. Hopefully everybody, especially specifically, the NL Central gets is a big player in free agency, and hopefully they find a way to bolster their rosters.
God, we're definitely showing our age. Having to go back and look up players and stuff. I mean, back when we were growing up, it was the easiest time remembering the Tijeras, the Griffeys, the McGuires, the
Well,
Sosas.
I mean, if you click I'm just on the the free agent tracker, and I just click the age tab, and I'm just sitting here at the top. Rich Hill, you got Nelson Cruz is up there, Adam Wainwright, Yadier Molina, Shinsu Chu, J.A. Happ, Edwin Encarnacion. Like, these guys have just been around for so long that, like, it it's just, I mean, I know I could tell you exactly what they did. The man, the myth, the Sergio Ramo. I mean,
Oh, I mean that's a giant. That's a giant great as well.
the giant choke artist. They got Lester, Cole Hamels, Charlie Morton, Brett Gardner, Jed Lowry, Anibal
I
Sanchez.
believe Charlie
All
Morton is retiring. Actually,
he very well could be. I just know that he's listed to his contract. I just looking up expiring
yeah.
contracts. So
Because I
yeah,
remember reading that he was debating whether or not Game 7 was going to be the last time he put a uniform on. So I'm thinking he might be on his way out. And he had a good career. I mean,
I mean, it's just unbelievable the turnover. I mean, Alex Gordon, just think about it. He's 37. Like, I feel like it was yesterday that he won with the Kansas City Royals, and that was the dynasty that never was because they end up losing.
man, that was 2015, wasn't it? Or was it
No,
20? Yeah,
uh, 2015.
2015.
Yeah, they lost in 2014 to the Giants, right?
Yeah, because the Giants won
The Giants
12 and
beat them in
14.
2014. Yeah, so they beat the Tiger. They swept the Tigers in 12. Then it was Red Sox over Cardinals, right? In 13? Or did the Cardinals win in 13? No, the Cardinals didn't win in 13. When did the
Cardinals
Card
went 1 and 13. That was the Red Sox Cardinals.
Yeah, Cardinals won in 11. It was Cardinals, Giants, Red
Red
Sox,
Sox, Giants,
Giants,
Royals,
Royals,
Cubs,
Cubs, who was it? Was it Red Sox?
Yankees.
Was it Red Sox again? No, the Yankees
2017?
haven't won. Yeah, it was Red Sox,
No, it was
Houston.
Astros.
It was
That was
Astros.
that was
It was Astros, Red
Trash Gate.
Sox,
That was
Astros,
Trash
right?
Gate. Yeah, because 2017 was Trash Gate.
It was Astros, Red Sox, Astros, Dodgers, right?
I don't think did the Astros win in 2019?
Who won last year? I can't even think of. I was
It was
so
the
not interested.
Nationals.
Nationals. Oh, I'm sorry to Nationals fans. I forgot that you guys. That's
The
right.
year after Bryce Harper left.
Yes, they won without Bryce Harper. I was so happy for you guys. I forgot about that, man.
Yeah, he forgets
Crazy.
about you. But then again, I did kind of forget too. It's been
I
a
mean,
long.
yeah,
It's
because
been
it
a
was
long year.
they doubled up, right? It was them and the Cap. No, the Capitals Capitals won the year prior, and then they won
Yeah,
because
but
yeah. Moral of the
so
story, we're getting off track, but anyway,
we
moral of the
are.
story is this offseason for MLB is going to be crazy. It's going to be awesome to watch and see all these players get a fresh start with new teams. And something that I'm looking forward to, and we're just going to go right into it, is this football trade deadline. Literally days away. As you can see, there's a lot of moves happening. Are already starting to kind of matriculate. Specifically, some big ones. You have let's see, who we were just talking about him. Carlos Dunlap is now a Seahawk. He got traded from the Cincinnati Bengals. And then you have, I believe it was Everson Griffin is a Lion.
Correct.
Yes, he was traded as well. And then Dontari Poe was released by the Cowboys as well. Any other notable names that really have kind of been on the move, or
we got Steve McLendon, who was a Jet. He is now a Buccaneer. And a lot of these trades, guys, are for more picks, just to clear up some calories, some salary cap. Just moving on, because like I mentioned earlier, this season is really in flux with how free agency is going to go due to the money that has been lost from ticket sales and everything else that goes into getting players to come for your organization. Because of this year has been so tough on teams, you're going to be seeing a lot of draft picks going to and from teams to create extra space to maybe potentially sign a big name in this free agency. So that being said, Steve McClendon was traded to the Bucks for a 2020 sixth round pick, um, and the Bucks gave up a 2023 seventh round pick. Jordan Willis was also traded from the Jets to the 49ers, and the Jets will receive a 2022 sixth round pick. And this name, I'm gonna butcher this, so you can laugh at me. Is Yannick Njoku? No,
Njoku. It's
Njoku. Yeah,
yes, yes.
I'm terrible at pronouncing names. Was traded from the Vikings to the Ravens.
Oh wait,
So
no. I thought you were talking about David.
no, not
No,
David
no, 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 no,
Njoku.
no. Yo, Yannick Ngakwe.
Oh, Ngakwe.
Yeah, okay. I mixed two people up together because the way you pronounced it, I was like,
Yannick.
Njoku? Yeah, Yannick
Well, it's
Ngakwe.
Njoko.
Ngakwe.
Okay, I
Yes.
apologize, Yannick.
No.
We're gonna be on a first name basis from here on out.
Yeah,
So I'm
it's
just gonna call you
Yannick.
Yannick. But
Yannick Antetokounmpo.
that being said, it's completely defensive trading right now. As where it usually is middle of the season, because you don't really trade a lot of offensive pieces unless your team is really playing bad. Now that being said, we could see a Matt Ryan to the Patriots mid-season here. And this is looking, I mean, if you're the Patriots, I would rather have Matt Ryan over Cam Newton at this current time. And if you're the Falcons, do you really want to waste the rest of Matt Ryan's prime on a losing team because the defense can't hold the lead?
I think the Falcons have pretty much shut down in that regards. They don't want to trade Julio or Matt Ryan. Both of them, I think they're trying to move forward with them. Somebody who may be on the move, however, looking offensively, somebody who could be looking to maybe drop some salary would be the Giants. I know that they have Golden Tate, has a pretty bad contract in regards to salary for them. Could be a potential a big impact. I know that David Njoku wants out of Cleveland, and I know there's a lot of teams who would flourish, whether he be the number one tight end or possibly a number two tight end. But it seems that people are focusing on defense because in this league, everybody's offense is going to put up points. It's going to be who can limit the amount of points, as you've seen in this early season with a lot of shootouts. It's whose defense can step up whenever it counts. But I think that ultimately with the trade deadline, somebody who not a lot of people are talking about and who could possibly be on the move is, you can get a lot for him, especially from a team who's say the Cowboys potentially would be a Patriots and Cowboys trade for Cam Newton. Because if you think about it, Dak and Cam have a lot of similarities. He would probably be a better option for you at quarterback than the other options that you have. Obviously, it wouldn't be ideal for the Patriots, but if the Patriots got a third, fourth round pick for Cam Newton at this point, especially if you've already benched him, unless this is just a publicity stunt to get him to play better, but I think that this might be the real thing. He's really has not shown anything, especially in the passing game, that he has really he's back to his former self.
Former MVP numbers.
Exactly.
I I don't I'm not a Cam Newton fan. I never have been. But I thought he was going to come out with a little bit more fire than he did. Yeah, week one, we kind of saw him run the ball like he used to, but I've never seen him as a good passer. And he is clearly showing that this year. And I think he deserves to be benched. I think the Patriots need to shop and potentially get a new quarterback moving forward. Whether they go to the draft, we could actually see the Patriots. I think the Patriots, the Cowboys, the Jets, and the Falcons are going to be fighting for that number one pick come the draft. And I think that'll help either the Patriots get a quarterback or hopefully secure the Cowboys on getting a better defensive pass rusher because their offense is already good enough as it is. They just need to grow that defense, and I think that could be beneficial. Getting the first round or second round, the first or second pick to get that kind of elite player from the draft.
Yeah, and so a few players that could potentially other players that have been rumored to have been shopped around. Just even little feelers out. You have the Jets sitting there who are kind of in. I mean, they're kind of in a downward spiral. There's not really a whole lot going for them. So somebody who could potentially be um, move would be like a Sam Darnold. Finish the season out with Joe Flacco. You're obviously going to tank, and you're probably going to try to get Justin Fields. So at this point, try to get Sam Darnold when he has a little bit of value. Maybe trade him to a team who needs, a future. You also have to look at these teams who have aging superstar quarterbacks. You have the Drew Brees, who is Jameis Winston, the heir to that throne. You have Philip Rivers, who is Jacoby Brissett. We've already seen him. Is he the heir to the throne? You have the Big Ben. There's only a few more years that he's going to be able to take it, and we've seen Mason Rudolph and Duck Hodges. We've seen them play, and we know who they are. So it's time for these teams who obviously have aging. You maybe look at this. I mean, he's a project, yeah, but Sam Darnold hasn't had anybody around him ever. You have him who's. I mean, he hasn't had anyone. He hasn't had receivers. He had one receiver to throw to. He
And he
has a
doesn't have an offensive line.
horrible offensive line. Exactly. That's also brings me to my next person, who's Dwayne Haskins. The man has Terry McLaurin. He's had like 8 different running backs. He has a really bad offensive line, and I mean, he gets benched, and I understand why. He's not performing, but it's not all falls on him. He has a lot of talent. You saw it at Ohio State. So he's one of those people that if you give him weapons, he could potentially be the heir to one of these teams. But those are 2
Yeah,
quarterbacks that potentially could be moved here in the next week or so. Especially if they're all in on Kyle Allen, and you know, it's just an option.
and when we're talking about aging quarterbacks, I feel like we're talking about the ageless Tom Brady here, and I hate to call him that, but he has really impressed me this year with learning a whole new offense, going to a completely different part of the country. He started out a little rocky, yes, but he really found his stride, and he is playing not to his old MVP numbers, but he is playing some top tier football. And my next question is, who is going to take over that role when Tom Brady's essentially finished? Because he can't play football forever.
So what you just have to repeat that for like what's your exactly is your question?
Where do you think the Bucks go after Tom Brady's done with quarterback wise?
Well, I honestly think that that they're going to have to either trade for one, possibly draft a late round one, a late first round quarterback or possibly a second round quarterback. But I think that it's important that they get a quarterback or a successor now rather than later.
The groom?
to groom, like, because we preach it, we preach it, we preach it. The quarterbacks that get thrust into the starting role have significantly had worse outings and worse starts to their career than the ones that have had a chance to grow behind QBs. So I think it's important for them to start looking. A name that keeps, like I said, that keeps popping up is like the Sam Darnold. You got Dwayne Haskin, even Jacoby Brissett from the Colts, who's just sitting there behind Philip Rivers. Is he the answer? I mean, if you look at his backups, he's got Blaine Gabbert and Ryan Griffin. Obviously, neither of those names stick out to you, as Blaine Gabbert's also an aging. He's aging as well, so it's going to be interesting to see what they do. It's crazy to think that we have to think about a world without Tom Brady, but it's right around the corner. So
It has to be. I mean, he's getting up there.
absolutely. And who knows, maybe Ryan Griffin is the answer. Maybe they're grooming him up to be, maybe he is the successor to this. I mean, obviously we haven't seen a whole lot from him, obviously, with him being waived and everything like 4 or 5 times. So I mean, who knows? It's too early to think about it. We have a long season ahead of us, but something to just keep in the back of your mind.
Just remember, you heard it all here first. What we've been talking about.
Whatever. Me calling Ryan Griffin the heir to the Tom Brady
Well,
throne.
David said it first.
I didn't say
I
I
don't
didn't
know.
say that. I said maybe he is. Maybe he is. Maybe he's not. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, he hasn't done anything, so I mean,
All right. Well, we're gonna move forward now. Um, we got an interesting football game tonight. We have the 1-6 Atlanta Falcons taking on the 3-4 Carolina Panthers in Carolina. Why I don't even know where to start with this game. Um, let's start at the Atlanta Falcons once again blowing a lead last week and losing
yeah,
a game that they
I'm
should have won.
yeah, I'm pretty upset. It really. I mean, this game. I mean, I missed 2 games last week, so this wasn't the only game that cost me my perfect record for the weekend, but it was the one that hurt the most. I got called out in the comments, for picking the Falcons on the last on the Sunday pick 'em, and it did come back to bite me ultimately, and I mean this team is honestly and truthfully, if they're smart, if they can somehow successfully tank this year, and they are in the Justin Fields Trevor Lawrence sweepstakes, depending on, obviously if Trevor Lawrence comes out. But I think if he legitimately is, top 3 and has an opportunity to, go to a team like Atlanta where he's not going to be in the dumpster fire that is the Jets, and they have shown in recent, past that they can win. I think that maybe they're the team to either trade up to get him or just lose and get him. Somebody's got to take over for Matt Ryan because he's declining fast. And if they want to if they want to compete with Julio Jones and Calvin Ridley, still relatively, game, like I guess what I would say, they're still game changers. I think you have to win now, and it might be. It's going to start with some, at the top and work its way down.
I mean, you say Matt Ryan's declining. I say Matt Ryan's still having a good season for despite being 1-6. I mean, 2,100 yards, 12 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. Once again, this 1-6 is not on him. He is putting up numbers and keeping them in games. It is that tragedy of what they call a defense on that team that is blowing these games left and right. I mean, let's take a look real quick. The Seahawks, the Cowboys, the Bears. Packers game wasn't that close, but the Panthers and the Lions, all games within 10 points. all games where Atlanta had a lead at some point, and then they go and blow it. I feel so bad for Matt Ryan right now because he is doing everything he can. He's getting the ball out, he's throwing the deep ball. Every week he has a wide receiver in the top 5 with yards, touchdowns, that may be. But this defense has found a way to screw him repeatedly. And if I was Matt Ryan, I'd be super pissed right now because this team could easily be 3-3 going into this week.
Yeah, with this Falcons team, obviously the history has never really been on the side. They have been historically known for blowing leads and everything like that. And I think that that's kind of gotten to them mentally as well. And this defense, they were proclaimed, they were highly talked about, especially in the Super Bowl. Even when they lost, they're like, this is a Falcons team that's going to be here and it's going to come back and it's going to be competing because they had a really young, good defense.
Well, they didn't
And
come back.
the thing is they never showed back up. And then they started to sign these players and they just didn't pan out. And obviously they're suffering the repercussions of it. And it looks to be like they're going to start a fire sale on that defensive side, which I don't know why anybody would want some defensive players, but they are sitting Tack McKinley, who is rumored to be on his way out of there.
Well, the official reasoning to nurse a groin injury he suffered. But we all know that he's being shopped as we speak at this moment.
Yes. So yes. So obviously, the official reason why he's sitting out is different than what the real reason that he is sitting out. Um, so with that being said, I think that this Carolina team does enough to win, and I think that it's going to be a low scoring affair. It'll be like 24-14.
Um,
17, 17, because the best player on that Falcons team is going to get 3 points.
You think?
What you think?
Right.
As in, are you like judging me for calling the man, the myth, the young Hoku? I mean, who is very, very clearly the best player on their team, leading the team with 58 points scored. Just saying. 15 of 16. Hasn't missed. Actually, I guess he has missed. He's had one extra point blocked and one missed extra point. So I mean, the man is pretty on point.
We didn't. I mean, we haven't really talked about Carolina much. They might have McCaffrey back tonight.
No,
Sources.
he's sitting out.
They officially said. Okay.
From what I've heard, he's sitting out, and they're going to bring him back next week. They're not going to push him. He's not 100%. It hasn't been confirmed yet, but that is everybody.
Well, I say that
the word on the street is everybody is expecting his return to be delayed another week because he's not 100%.
Well, I was saying that because he's not on the injury report either. So, because he can be activated by 4 today to play if necessary. However, that being said, this Carolina team looks very streaky right now. Teddy Bridgewater can show up, but has chosen not to show up in 4 games. Now, that being said, this 1-2 threat of Robbie Anderson, DJ Moore is a very good combo to have on your team. When McCaffrey gets back and healthy, I think this team could make a run towards playoff contention. The issue is when McCaffrey gets back, can he stay healthy? And if so, they have a chance to battle the Bucks to take over this conference.
Yeah, I'm going to stop you right there. This team is good. Yes, of course. They are going to compete in the rest of their games this season, looking ahead to their schedule. They do have to face the Chiefs, the Bucks, the Packers, and the Saints again, as well. And this team is not going to compete for a playoff spot. I'm going to give you 4 reasons why. Bucks,
Okay.
Saints,
Okay.
Rams, and Bears.
Kind of okay. Let me stop you right there.
For those 4 reasons, no, listen. Because if you look ahead at this, I understand this Bears offense has not showed up, and there's a reason why they're 5-2 right now. But if you look at their schedule ahead, they have to play the Jaguars. These are the non-conference games. So you have the Jaguars, the Texans, and the Titans. And then you have all divisional games, other divisional games. You got Vikings, Packers. You get to play the Lions again, the Vikings again. This team is going to make the playoffs as a wild card, as one of the 3 wild cards this year. They're going to probably be the third one in. And it's going to be because of their defense. Their defense is just too good. And I'm saying it right now. They're going to be the 3rd seed. It's going to be the Rams, the 49ers. One of them is going to be the other wild card. And then you're probably looking at the Saints as the other wild card. And that is the reason why the Carolina will not make it.
I don't agree with that statement at all.
Okay. Well, what was wrong with it?
The Rams have had such a weak ass schedule to this point where they don't even look like a team that could play in the playoffs. The 49ers are coming back. Yes, Jimmy G is extremely hit or miss right now. I mean, he had last week was a crap game for him. The week before that was a great game. We don't know. The only issue that I have is the Bucks. That Saints offense is really lacking right now, and they're able to squeak by due to Alvin Kamara. If Alvin Kamara gets hurt, that team is done. Michael Thomas will not be back to his original self anytime soon with his off the field problems and him repeatedly getting injured over the course of this season. And Emmanuel Sanders is hurt as well currently. Probably won't be back this week. So you're relying on 2 very, very new receivers. I think that the only way this team does not make the playoffs is if Christian McCaffrey stays injured the rest of the season. Sorry, my headset died. Now that being said, once McCaffrey gets back, I will guarantee you this, David. Carolina takes one of these wild card spots. And you can quote me on that.
Okay, well I'm gonna rewind just for a second, because this is something that I heard you say. You said that the Rams have not played anyone, yes?
Yes.
Okay, so they're sitting there 5-2, second place in the NFC West. Let me just go through a few of these, of their remaining schedule games. Dolphins, Cardinals, which the Cardinals are showing that they are competitive, but just the Cardinals of old always show up against NFC West teams. The Patriots, the Jets, and the Cardinals. So right there, if you beat the Cardinals one time, you're going to beat the Jets, probably the Patriots, and probably the Dolphins. You've already have 9 wins. If you can somehow sneak away with 1 win from either the Seahawks that you play twice, the 49ers, or the Bucks, all you have to do is beat one of those, you're in the playoffs. A 10-6 record is going to be in the playoffs.
Okay.
And I'm telling you that they are going to make. You said that they haven't played anybody. That's the thing. They got lucky because they got the AFC East, which normally they'd have to play the Patriots, but the Patriots are not the big dog. They had to play the Bills. They lost to the Bills, but they're going to sweep the other 3. That's the 3 non-conference wins, and then you have the Jets. Or not the Jets, excuse me. And then you have like the Cardinals, who what Cardinals team is going to show up? I think you basically gave me a reason why the Rams are going to win, because you said they have a cupcake schedule, because that's how they're going to make it. I didn't say they're going to win in the playoffs. I just said that they're going to make the playoffs. I'm totally down to make this a thing. Like we can all
right, let's do it.
All right.
Take the Rams. I'll take the Panthers.
We'll talk. Yeah. So that's the only difference. Are we agreeing on the Bears making it?
I do think the Bears will make it. Yes.
Yeah, I think that just the way the schedule is set up.
I'm kind of sold that offense will catch up to the defense at some point, but that defense is keeping them in games, and that's all that they have to do right now.
Yeah, I know that they're probably in another place where obviously they could use somebody like a Golden Tate, or if AJ Green ever gets put on the market, another receiver wouldn't be terrible. They already have Jimmy Graham and Allen Robinson, but Anthony Miller, and I believe they have a young receiver that really hasn't lived up to the hype yet. Darnell Mooney. They haven't been able to step up when Allen Robinson's covered. But I mean, this defense is going to keep them in every game this year. It's just a fact.
What's going to decide this NFC North is the 2 games between Green Bay and Chicago, because they still have 2 games to play. Other than that, it looks like Green Bay can win. Green Bay has the potential to win out due to their teams. I mean, they play the Vikings, the 49ers, the Jags, the Colts, the Eagles, the Lions, the Panthers, and the Titans, and then 2 games with the Bears. I think that's a very winnable schedule to me. So that's
So you don't think that? So basically, what you're saying, we disagree on. So who's your third team then? Who's your third NFC wildcard team? Because you said the Saints aren't going to make it because their offense isn't good enough. So I'm just curious. I know. I'm just curious to who you think from that side is going to make it, because it's not going to be an NFC East team. It won't be the Lions or the Vikings. It's not going to be Atlanta. I mean, are you saying Carolina's going to make it? Or, I mean, if you don't say them, it has to be the 49ers then. Because it has to be or Arizona or 49ers. One of those 2 teams. Like, it has to be a NFC West team, because there's no way any other team's going to make it. I mean, you say Carolina's going to make it, but there ain't no way Carolina's going to make it. I know the NFC West teams still have to basically face each other.
They haven't all. I'm gonna say this now. Right now, my pick is Carolina to make it and the Cardinals to make it. The Rams are on the outside.
Okay, so you have Arizona, the Carolina, and the Bears. Those are your 3 wild cards. Okay.
Yes.
All right. Well, and I'm gonna go Rams, Saints, Bears. So we agree on the Bears, because I think their defense is just too good not to make it. Obviously it does. I don't think it really even matters who they put at quarterback. I don't think really. I mean, I think Nick Foles gives you a better chance to win than Mitch does, but
I think Mitch gives you the deep ball and potential to.
I think he gives you the and obviously neither one of them is really mobile, so it's not like they add a fast so it's just play the hot hand. Like, just don't do what the Bills did whenever and whenever they sat Doug Flutie in a playoff game. Yeah, I may not have been old during that game, but trust me, I get to hear about it from people like, "Oh, you're a Bills fan." Yeah.
So yeah, and I mean, the AFC is pretty decisive currently at this point.
Yeah. So I think on the AFC picture, looking ahead, I think we're pretty well understand that it's going to be Kansas City's winning the West. Titans are going to win the South. Yeah. Titans is going to win the South. Indianapolis will be a wild card.
Pittsburgh's winning. Then
they still have to play the Ravens, don't they?
Yeah, they bet. I think they play.
I want to see their head. I want to see their head-to-head first before I make that prediction. But both of those teams are going to make it. And then the last one is probably the Raiders' spot to lose at this point.
I mean, we could see Cleveland make a tremendous comeback. I don't see it happening.
The Cleveland team, especially with losing Odell and whatever, I don't know what Baker's going to show up week to week.
Right.
It's the Browns still have to face the Steelers again and the Ravens again. I think they've only played once, correct?
No, they don't play the Ravens again.
They've already played the Ravens twice?
Oh no, they do play.
No,
again
they play
December 14th.
Yes, so they play those 2 again. They also have the Titans,
the Jets.
But then I mean they do have Jets, Giants, back-to-back weeks, and Texans. So if they can beat the Raiders here, I guess it's their spot. So I think this whoever wins this game this weekend, and I'll talk about it more on Sunday, but I think whoever wins that game is going to in the driver's seat for that third spot.
Obviously, we have the Bills winning the East.
Hopefully, they need to be big buyers and I say this, and they're obviously not necessarily haven't been in discussions for very much, but if they could possibly pick up a D tackle, we'll trade them a draft pick or something, because it's win now time for everybody on that roster. And obviously it sucks that we had 3 defensive linemen opt out the season and has really come back to bite us. But
I am going to say Carolina wins this game by a score of 28-21.
okay, so you got 28-21. I got 27-14, I think, or I said, yeah, I said 20. No, wait, yeah, 27-14. I think is what I said.
I think it'll be a touchdown difference. I think they'll make it.
Oh no, actually, I think it's yeah.
You said it was by
24-14 is what I said.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because you
24.
said you have
No, 24-17. I
Young
changed.
Hugh Q.
Yeah.
But, okay. Well, now that we got that settled. Ooh, we had some fun there. That was did you see Gardner Minshew is out with multiple thumb fractures?
Yeah, he's out, and Edelman's out.
Edelman's out, yeah.
Yeah.
But all right. Well, I believe that is all that we have on the agenda today for our podcast today.
Yeah, no, not a whole lot else going on. I did think we forgot something with baseball. We did forget the biggest signing of the day.
Oh, good old hits close to home.
The man, the myth, Tony La Russa coming back out of, I guess, what was he, the
executive?
Coming back at the age of 76. We'll see if it pays off for him. He has, the experience, and he's taken over for a very talented White Sox team who, a lot of people had making a run at the World Series this year. The crazy statistic I saw is I'm pretty sure it said that he is like 35 years older than the next, like the oldest person on the team. It's crazy. Like, he's ridiculous. It's just ridiculous. But
he's the oldest manager in the major league by 5 years.
Yeah, he's the only two. He's one of two managers that's 75 years or older.
But yeah. So
I don't think that there's anything else that really needs to be said, because we'll talk about all the college football stuff tomorrow.
That we will. All right. Well, then on that note, guys, enjoy the rest of your Thursday. Take it easy and enjoy some Thursday night football with Carolina winning.
We'll see. I mean, I think they'll win, but it'd be a real Carolina thing to lose.
No, it would be a real Atlanta thing to lose. All right. Now we're done on that note.
Yeah, sounds good. Peace.
Peace.